Up next on the Day Beer Review, we're going to be looking at Bourbon Barrel Temptress 11. This is an Imperial Stout brewed with lactose and vanilla extract. It is coming in at 12% ABV, and it is proudly brewed and packaged by the Lakewood Brewing Company of Garland, Texas. Check it out. Hi, it's Rich, and welcome to the channel. If you're new, welcome, and welcome to all the new subscribers. If you are just popping in, please hit that subscribe button. It really helps the channel. Today we are looking at the 11th anniversary edition of Bourbon Barrel Temptress. In fact, it's called Bourbon Barrel Temptress 11, and it says that it is an Imperial Stout brewed with lactose and vanilla extract. It's coming in at 12% ABV, and now it actually says there's some contradiction here. And that's something that I want to just point out. It says Lakewood Brewing on the bottom, but it also says, oh no, maybe I just misread it, Lakewood Brewing Company. So it's the Lakewood Brewing Company out of Garland, Texas, and this is one of the beers that were sent to me by Will, who is in Texas and has given me a bunch of Texas beers. Just so you know, the Lakewood Brewing Company, I have no affiliation with them. I've never tried their beer, so this is going to be my first one. And Will did not send me these beers with the intent of them either being on the channel necessarily or of, asking me to review these beers in any sort of way. So I'm just going to give my honest opinion. But with that being said, since it is a small brewing company that I have not heard of, it is Lakewood Brewing Company. And they are at 2302 Executive Drive, Garland, Texas. I really don't know where that is, although I have to say that the food that keeps popping up on their site looks very good. It says, at Lakewood Brewing, we handcraft unique, small batch beers that reflect timelessness, creativity, and the energy of... and that's where the website stopped loading. And I think that's more my Wi-Fi than anything else. So we're going to check out this one, which is Temptress. Now, this is right up my alley as far as a beer goes. You're talking about a Bourbon Barrel Imperial Stout, 12%, so good ABV. The biggest question I had was what glass to use for this. I'm going with a traditional stout glass. Wow. This is a good sign. I'm already getting this aroma of the bourbon barrel and the vanilla and the sweetness that goes with it. It's just like filling the bar, which is really impressive because I just cleaned the bar off with the cleaner I use on it, and that normally is a dominant smell for a couple of minutes. This pushed that right out. So I'm going to use a traditional stout glass as opposed to a tulip glass because I just wasn't sure what to do with this. This pours a nice dark brown. The carbonation actually seems a little bit aggressive, which, I mean, it's one of the things that's pushing the aroma through the bar. About a fingertip ahead, again, sort of a khaki color. I'm getting a lot of bourbon barrel here. In fact, I'm getting a lot of oakiness in general. There's this nice mellow sort of charred wood aroma to the nose, with just a little hint of vanilla on the back end. And it might not be vanilla, it might actually be the lactose. For some reason, anytime a beer has lactose in it, I sort of get it as a sweet vanilla-ish type of flavor, at least on the nose. There's something else here. Maybe a little bit of chocolate. But it is, like, there's a pronounced vanilla nose to this beer, which I like. I'm a big fan of vanilla stouts, so this is, to me, an interesting thing to actually come across. All right, let's see how it goes. Well, first off, actually, before I drink it, I wonder what barrels they use. It doesn't say. It just says, Brewers Association of Independent Craft Brewers, proudly brewed and packaged by Lakewood Brewing Company. And it says that this is their 11th anniversary edition, so from 2012 to 2023. I don't see a date on the bottle, but again, not particularly worried about it with a stout of this ABV. And, once they start aging it, it doesn't really matter. I would like to know how long it was aged. In fact, before I do this, let me just look and see. So the Temptress seems to be Lakewood Brewing Company is, I mean, actually, wow, they have a very, very broad offering. Temptress Milk Stout, Temptress Imperial Milk Stout, Temptress Blonde, Temptress Imperial Milk Stout, Irish Cream. That looks pretty good. Actually, a lot of this looks very, very good. Hold on a second. Temptress, Bourbon Barrel. Sorry, I don't normally do this on here, but I'd like to see Bourbon Barrel 11. Let's see what we get. Lakewood Brewing release. Cheers. Okay, so here we go. I have some of the stuff that's going on here, and it says Lakewood Brewing Company releases their 2023 edition of Bourbon Barrel Temptress during an exclusive VIP release party. So this beer actually looks like it was sort of difficult to get. This year's blend comes from a variety of bourbon barrels across the bourbon belt of the southeastern United States, available in commemorative 2-pack and on draft. So I don't see, you know, what type of barrels they were aged in. So I don't know what that is. So I'm not going to try to pair this with a bourbon. It does have a nice nose, though. Let's see what we have on the, you know, on the palate. Okay, so this is interesting. It didn't pour as thick or as sort of viscous as, let's say, a Bourbon County does, or, you know, some of the other beers that you wind up getting with those high ABVs. That being said, it goes down really easy. There's not a lot of burn here, which to me is actually a little bit disturbing considering it's 12%. This would come under the heading of one of those dangerous beers. Even now, you know, a full sip in, I'm not getting any warmth in the belly at all. So it goes down very nicely, a little thinner than I would have liked. The carbonation really opens up the flavors, and the flavors I'm getting are sort of a chocolate, a roast, not as much vanilla as I would like, to be honest with you. I expected when I read vanilla extract that it would be like way vanilla forward, because it seems like when people use vanilla extract, they use a lot. The vanilla here is just a hint on the back of the palate, and even now 2 or 3 sips in, the warmth of the 12% is just starting to, you know, sort of show up in my stomach. It's really a dangerous beer. Now, there's 2 notes that I'm getting that I'm not super thrilled with. One, I don't know what bourbon barrels they age these in. And I have a feeling that they have some sort of like high rye bourbon barrels in there, because I'm getting some of that spiciness that I associate with sort of the higher rye mash builds of bourbons. You know, as opposed to just the sweetness that normally comes from a beer that's been aged in you know, a less high rye mash build. So I'm getting a little bit of that. That being said, you know, that spiciness is not a bad thing. It's just not my particular palate. You're getting a lot of oak here, a lot of that wood char from the barrel. So, and again, it's not a bad bourbon. Bad bourbon stout. It's just, like I said, it seems to me at least to taste like these are probably high rye barrels, because that's sort of what I'm getting. And again, not bad. So front end, I'm getting sort of chocolate, sort of that roastiness from the stout, mixed in with that sort of like char. And to me, when I taste like that oaky char, there's almost like a little bit of saltiness that goes with it. And that's also what I'm getting as it goes down. This is a well-crafted bourbon barrel stout, without a doubt. You know, one of the earmarks I use, and I know it's not official tasting policy for a beer or anything like that, is, you know, like how well can they build this beer where the dominant flavor is not the ethanol that's making up such a big portion of the beer. And quite frankly, this beer does a wonderful job of tucking that 12% alcohol back a little bit into the background, so you don't have to be like, oh, so much booze. So it is one of those beers that I would classify as dangerous. You're going to drink this And you may not realize the alcohol content until the alcohol content sort of hits you. That being said, I think it's a really well-crafted beer. I think the bourbon barrels that they're using, and again, there's no proof of this on their website and the article about it or on the bottle. I think they're more of a high rye build, which is why I'm getting that little bit of pepperiness on the back of my palate. You know, it's funny, the more I do the bourbon barrel beers, the more I'm really interested in seeing the bourbons that they came with, and the more I see how, you know, the mash bill of the bourbon, the aging of the bourbon, all of that actually has a profound impact on these beers. So again, this is a well-crafted beer. Very easy to drink, very approachable, and you would never, ever know that this was a 12% beer. So is this one that I would pick up if I saw it locally? Yeah, I would. And quite frankly, this makes me want to check out the rest of the offerings that, you know, Lakewood Brewing Company has to offer. In particular, I saw one, it was an Irish, an Irish cream stout, which, you know, I see a lot of people try those, but not a lot of people get them right. This is a well-done bourbon barrel stout from a small brewery, so I'd be very interested to see what they do with that Irish cream stout as well. That being said, this is, again, Bourbon Barrel Temptress 11. This is an Imperial Stout brewed with lactose and vanilla extract, and this is the 11th anniversary, you know, beer. And it is coming in at 12% ABV. And I have to say, like, would I pick this up again if I saw this in Total Wine? I would. It's a pretty solid beer. Is it the greatest bourbon barrel stout I've ever had? It is not. Is it a good representation of the entire genre of the beer? Yeah, especially if they're using, especially if it is that sort of like peppery sort of note that I'm getting on the back end. If they're using a high rye barrel, or if I've gotten a beer that was sort of more in a high rye barrel, I have to say, like, they've done a good job of allowing that flavor to come through, which is really impressive. All right, folks, I'm going to sit back and I'm going to sip the rest of this because it is quite good. Again, this is the Temptress 11. This is the Bourbon Barrel Imperial Stout brewed with lactose and vanilla extract. And it is by Lakewood Brewing, and it comes in at 12% ABV. If you like the review, hit that like button, subscribe, throw a comment down below. I would once again like to thank Will for supplying the beer. Again, one of the viewers sent, you know, a bunch of beers to me from Texas. We're going to be looking at most of them here on camera, if not all of them here on camera. And this is the first of them. I was actually really excited, and I wanted to start with these, which disassociation, but they give us, they tell us what bourbon barrels they use on this. So I want to run out and get a bottle of Heaven Hill bourbon, so we can do a direct tasting as well. And I just haven't had a chance to go out and do that. Quite frankly, I also don't know how much Heaven Hill bourbon costs, and I have to look into that before I purchase it. But this one has been very good, and once again, Will, I'd like to say thank you. Cheers, we'll see you next time on a Beer Review.